What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing another kill streak breakdown, this time taking a look at some more subscriber gameplay. Today we're going to be looking at a 49 kill streak with Ray on Geonosis, and this gameplay comes from Blake. A big thank you to Blake who submitted the gameplay for this series, so I'll leave a link to the original kill streak on his channel if you guys do want to go and show him some love. Now, as always, if you guys want to submit your own gameplay to be broken down, then there is a link in the description of all of my videos. I generally only really do kill streaks between about 40 to 75, just because that's a very obtainable kill streak for any newer or less experienced players to get. So I'm definitely just going to be keeping it to that sort of sweet spot where it's still a really high kill streak, but not too high to where none of us regular guys are going to be able to get this same type of gameplay. Now, just lastly, a lot of the time these will be uploaded in tandem with a hero guide. So about a week ago, as you're watching this, I did actually upload a Ray hero guide on the channel. So as I always say, it is a great idea to watch the hero guides in tandem with these whenever they are focused on the same character, as the guide gives you all the stats and the star cards, and then the kill streak breakdown allows you to see some raw gameplay and just see how that hero should or shouldn't be played. So be sure to go and check that one out if you haven't already. But anyway, guys, with that out of the way, let's get stuck right into the gameplay. So he manages to get Ray here pretty much right as they move into that second phase, and you can see instantly he is using that inside ability, and this is something that I mentioned in the hero guide. You pretty much want to be using that essentially any chance you can get, because you can see here he might have run through this sort of area and not actually known these guys were here, but because he's got it activated he can see them, and that's a free 3 kills that he's picked up before even really moving on past the first phase. Now, Geonosis is kind of a weird map, honestly, when it comes to Saber heroes. That it's so open that they obviously do struggle a little bit, and especially with Ray, she's obviously suited to sort of close areas and close quarter maps like the Death Star and stuff like that. Because of that inside ability, the ability to see through walls is essentially what makes her such a great character. And so on a map like Geonosis, obviously insight isn't as strong as it would be on a map like the Death Star, for example. So she is one that I would probably recommend. Like, if I had to pick my top characters for this map, I probably wouldn't put Ray in there, and I am a Ray main as well, so that kind of says a lot. But with that being said, if you do play it correctly, which we are going to try and go through here, then you can definitely do very well with her. It is just a little bit tougher, so I would recommend if you're a bit of a newer player, then do not have Ray as your go-to character on this map. But again, with that being said, you can still do very well with her. Now, Blake has pretty much done the exact perfect start here. He's already pushed up straight to these objectives, and this is generally the hardest part, is actually getting close enough to your enemies, and he's already essentially behind them all. There's no one on this objective that is just run past, and you can see as he moves over to the other one, there is just a ton of enemies over here. And so this is exactly what you want to do on this map. You essentially just need to get close to the objectives as fast as you can. If he takes too long here and they set up, then he's just not going to be able to get in here as easy as he has. And you can see now that he pretty much cleared that left side. There's no one there, so now he comes to the right side, and there's just a bunch of enemies sitting at this rock. And yeah, you can see he's already up to what, a 10 kill streak or more. He's still at full health, and yeah, he's essentially cleared all the enemies off this side of the map. So that right there is pretty much the perfect start on Geonosis. I can't really explain that any better than what he's just shown on screen. You really just need to push early and try and get behind them before they get set up. And you can see there that he did get pretty lucky that on that left side there was really no one there protecting it. There was only a couple enemies, so he picked them off pretty quickly, and then once he has control of that side of the map, he switches to the other side, clears all of them, and then essentially his teammates now have a chance to push up. Now, as good as that play was down the left side, well, the right side of the map, I guess, if you're attacking, this section right here is definitely better for a Saber hero, and you're going to see that he does stick to this side pretty much for the rest of this phase. And it definitely works out. There's a lot more cover here. You can see him using really good use of that cover there. And inside is also helping him quite a bit here. The issue, this is pretty much what I was saying earlier, the issue with this part of the map and the whole map in general is that you can see like he's having to 1v1 a lot more characters rather than, getting big groups of enemies all in one that you can sort of get with one dash strike, or just sort of mind trick a few of them and kill them all at once. And so you want to kind of avoid as many 1v1s as you can when there are other enemies around, just because if you push one enemy and then there are 3 other enemies in that general area, they're all going to shoot at you, they're all going to be shooting at you from different areas. And so yeah, I think Blake did a really good job there of sort of picking those enemies off quickly enough that they're not going to be able to all be shooting at him at once. He's kind of picking one off, then quickly dashing to the other one. And yeah, it really allowed him to avoid a lot of damage there, and he did pick up a few kills even though they weren't all bunched up together. So very nicely done there from Blake, and he is pretty much having his way on this left side of the map here. Now, despite this side being definitely the better side, it is still definitely recommended to change it up. I always say in these kill streak breakdowns that it's a good idea to sort of you know, control one side of the map, and then once you've killed a bunch of enemies, to pretty much switch it up to the other side, even if there's not necessarily anyone there. You just never really want to stay too much in the same spot. So I would recommend to Blake and pretty much to anyone that in situations like this, you do want to just, you know, keep sort of bouncing between each objective there. But in saying that, he is doing a really good job here on this left side, and he's not really in any sort of immediate trouble. So it's not like it's a necessity by any means, but I would just definitely recommend trying to switch it up. Even if you just head over to the other side for literally like 10 seconds and maybe kill one enemy and then come back. It just sort of stops those, you know, anyone who's going to hunt you and stuff like that, or if there's tanks that are going to come to that side of the map, you can kind of lure them away. And especially with Ray, because that inside ability sort of takes her off the map while it's active. If you're on this side of the map while it's active, and then as soon as it runs out, you just sort of run to the other side of the map and then activate it again, people are going to think you're over on the other side of the map. And if you quickly head back to the other side while it's still active, they're going to lose you on the map, and then they're really not going to know where you are. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's definitely not a necessity or anything like that. And as you can see here, Blake is pretty much just dominating this left side of the map anyway. So as you can see, it is far from a necessity. Now, generally I do like to show the whole gameplay without, you know, having too many edits in there, but I'm going to just fast forward through this little section here. It's pretty much of the same of what you've just seen. Blake's making the most of Insight and pretty much just picking off any enemies that are coming into this area. So we're just going to skip through this little section here until we get on to the third and final phase. Now, this phase is definitely the hardest for the Saber heroes. It's by far the most open area of the map, and especially once you get sort of towards the end of it, most of the enemies are just sort of camping in that back spawn area, and you actually can't get in there for more than a few seconds without, you know, dying out of bounds. So generally, at least for me anyway, this is where I start to struggle, where, you know, I might have gotten 30 or 40 kills by this point, but then I'm only maybe going to pick up another 5 or so kills by the end of the game, just because I do struggle a fair bit with this part of the map. But one thing that Blake is doing really well here is making the most of this section where there's, you know, the sandstorm coming through from knocking down those objectives. One thing I will say though is that it is definitely, you know, to your benefit to make sure that you're turning off your lightsaber as much as possible, because you are pretty hard to see. When you've got your saber off, you are pretty hard to see. However, if you do have your saber on and, you know, you're running around the map like this, you are pretty much just a big glow stick that people are going to be able to see. So I would definitely recommend, that's really one of the only criticisms I have of this whole gameplay, is to always be turning your saber off. If you're not attacking someone, you should just turn it off instantly. It's pretty much one of the best habits to have, to just always have it turned off. It might not seem like the biggest deal, but on a map like this, where especially right now you're in a big sandstorm and visibility is pretty hard, if you're, you know, got a big yellow glow stick running around trying to kill enemies, they're going to be able to see you from a fair way away. And it's the same on pretty much any map. A lot of the maps, like say Endor for example, when it's nighttime, if you've got your saber off, you're going to be pretty hard to see, but if you've got it turned on, then you are just shining a light and saying, hey, look at me. So that's definitely a habit to get into. It does just become habit over time. At this point for me, I don't even think, if I'm not attacking someone, I just turn it off straight away. And so I'd recommend to Blake and to everyone watching to definitely get into that habit with every saber hero in the game. Now, for those of you who maybe aren't sure of what, you know, what button to press to actually turn it off, I think it's just the same button as whatever button it is to say plant an objective or whatever the case may be. It's obviously different on, you know, PC and stuff like that, but I think on PS4 it is square, on Xbox it would be X, and then I'm pretty sure on PC it's G by default, but obviously you may have changed your keybinds. I know that mine are different from the default ones, but yeah, I'm pretty sure no matter what, it will be the button that is essentially the use button. So if you go to an objective, it'll have a button that pops up. Whatever that button is, if you're just running around with a saber hero, if you press and hold that, then that will turn off the lightsaber. Now, Blake gets a very nice little kill here on Iden, and as you can see, it's a pretty easy kill there. I'm not really for like targeting heroes and stuff, but in a situation like that where she's pretty much right in front of you and she has no chance of surviving that is obviously a smart thing to do. A character like Iden or even Bossk on this map can pretty much torch you from long distance, so if you do find yourself close enough to a hero, even though I generally don't like targeting, then it is obviously smart to pretty much just try and take them out while you can. Now, if we just quickly fast forward through this little section here, as it is essentially him just trying to move up the map a little bit. This area that he's going to over on the left side of the map, that is probably the best place to be as a saber hero. Once you're this far up, there's not that much cover, and, you know, like I said earlier, there's going to be a lot of enemies sort of camped in that back area. So this little section here with these couple of rocks, and then there's the trench nearby as well. This is probably the best place to be for a saber hero at this point in the game. Unfortunately, you can't really keep pushing because, you know, this section here where, you know, right on the objective. If you go any further past that, you're pretty much out of bounds, and it's also very, very open up there as well. So you can see here that Blake is pretty much just moving between the area that I was just talking about, as well as this the trench near that spawn point. If you just essentially keep swapping places between those two areas, that's pretty much your best bet for this last phase, or at least the last section of this last phase anyway, because like I said, this is a pretty, you know, uneasy area for a lightsaber hero on this part of the map, and there's only so much you can really do at this point. You're not really going to get the majority of your kills in this area of the map. Now I'm essentially just going to fast forward through the rest of this gameplay to the very end. Like I just said, this part of the map is essentially just like a dead zone of the game. Once you're at this point in the game, you are essentially like almost guaranteed to win unless your teammates are just absolutely, you know, clueless to what they're doing. But if even just one person is in an ATTE, you are going to win the game. I've never really seen, maybe like once in the whole 2 years since this map has actually been out, I think only once have I ever lost a game once you get past the second phase. Pretty much if you make it to the third phase, you're going to win. And as a saber hero, once you make it to the third phase and you're this far up the map, it's essentially just, you know, rinse and repeat. You're just switching between the left side of the map here and then running through the trench, trying to just find any last kills, because at this point, generally the enemy team is just sitting in that spawn. There might be a few that try and make it out every now and then, but for the most part, it is essentially just a bunch of people camping at the back of the map and you waiting until the ATTE comes, you know, further up the map. So that is essentially going to conclude this kill streak breakdown. A very nice kill streak here from Blake. As I said earlier, it's pretty hard to get a solid kill streak on this map, especially with a saber hero. It does suit heroes like, say, Finn or Han, but other than honestly maybe Yoda, just because he's so small, other than him, I think it's actually probably one of the hardest maps to get a saber hero kill streak on. So definitely very well done there from Blake. Only 1 kill away from that beautiful 50 kill streak, but either way, it was a very, very nice kill streak, and hopefully it helped you guys learn a fair bit as well. So that is going to do it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. If you guys have any heroes you'd like to see breakdowns for, then let me know down below. I'm hoping to cover a few that I have already done guides for, so that they can kind of be paired together to be even more helpful. So expect to see some that tie into the current hero guides. As always, if you do want to submit your own clips, then like I said at the start of the video, there is a link in the description to every single one of my videos, so be sure to submit that. Obviously I can't make it through all of them, but if you do want to get that broken down, then just submit it, and hopefully I can get around to most of them eventually. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.